Hi everyone, my name is Laura and welcome to Book Bubbler. Today I wanted to do a wrap up of my Dewey's readathon that was this past Saturday, April 25th. I had a pretty good day. Excuse me, I managed to read 1,425 pages and I read for almost exactly 14 hours. 2 of those hours were an audiobook. That was The Life and Loves of a He-Devil by Graham Norton. I just read the actual physical book maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago. Really liked it, and I thought this would be a perfect time to listen to the audiobook, not only since I already owned it, but because it would be something light and kind of funny to listen to while I was putzing around, you know, doing dishes or whatever. So 2 of those hours were for the audiobook. So in no particular order, I'm going to go through the ones that I read, and they're all pretty short, you know, and I'll only cover the ones that I finished. So one book that I started and did not finish was The Garden of Small Beginnings by Abbi Waxman. I read about a third of it, 121 pages, and I really liked it a lot, but I just got too tired. It was, I think, 2 in the morning or 2:30, and that was it for me. I went to bed then. So, without any further ado, first up is Mothering Sunday by Graham Swift. This is a shorter, under 200 pages. Is this a novella then, a short story? I'm not sure what the designation is between the two of them, but all I knew was that it was a romance because it's on the title, on the cover, and that some of my friends who had read it raved about it and just said it was sexy and kind of unexpected. So I thought, fine, I've never read Graham Swift before. This is short enough. I've had this for a couple of years, so yeah. And it's sort of haunting me still. It's really amazing. I don't know if any of his other works are like this, and if they are, please tell me, because he may be a new favorite author if that's the case. This was the bulk of the story happens on, I don't even know how to describe it. The bulk of the story happens on one day in March 1924, and on Mothering Sunday, and it starts out with this couple and they have just slept together, and she's talking about seeing him naked in the sunlight, and he didn't, you know, he wasn't shy, and then she wasn't going to be shy either, and smoking, and then they're smoking together, and then it backs up a little bit to when she arrives to the house, and then coming into the house, and then it flashes forward into her later life when she's in her, I think, 90s. Someone's interviewing her, and she's a writer. So she doesn't ever talk about what happens, but she's thinking about that day and going back and back over it again, the things that she did and didn't do. And yeah, it kind of goes back and forth on that Mothering Sunday in time, but then also keeps jumping forward to the present, if that makes sense. That sounds confusing. It's not confusing at all when you're reading it. And I don't want to say anything more about it because it's just, it's excellent. 4.5 stars. I mean, I really, really, really liked this. If you can handle some frank descriptions of naked bodies, you'll have no problem with this. It's not erotica. It's not salacious. It's not like, it's just kind of frank about stuff. And there's not a ton of it either. So don't let that, you know, turn you off at all. But really, really enjoyed this. Surprisingly, this was excellent. 4.5 stars. Next up is Department of Speculation by Jenny Offill. This is an advanced reader's copy from when I worked at the library, on sale 1 of 2014. So I've had this on my shelves for quite a while. This is set up in little chapters, but also like these little paragraphs, almost like stanzas for poetry, but it's very much not. It's about, you spend most of your time in the head of the woman in a marriage. And it's about excuse me, their marriage, issues they have, how things change, their lives. He cheats on her and how they kind of get through that, and are they going to move or they're not going to move? If she gets pregnant, what about the kid? Where's it going to, you know, it goes around all that stuff. But so it's about life, and it's about these two in their marriage, but it's the way it's set up, it's so interesting. And I thought, I don't know if I can get into this. The first few pages, I'm like, this might be really annoying and stupid, but I just then inhaled it shortly afterwards. And 4 stars. I mean, I really, really liked this one, and it was unexpected. Again, I don't know what her other books are like. I'm going to check them out, but I really, yeah, I don't want to give a lot away either. It's intriguing, it's different, but good. Then I have The Story of a Lie by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is a short story. There's another one afterwards I didn't read, The Body Snatcher, which is, I think, 20 pages. This was like 70 pages for The Story of a Lie. It's about this young couple who falls in love, and there is some kind of, obviously, lie or misunderstanding that happens, and how that draws them apart and back together and apart and back together, and hurt feelings, and no one's talking, and blah. So it's a typical story that you have heard a lot these days. I don't know if you would have when this was originally written, and I'm not sure when that was exactly. I don't know Robert Louis Stevenson's life necessarily. But I don't think I also got the twist. Like, I remember reading and going, all right, I'm paying attention. This is fine, no problem. And then I read a few more chapters, and it was like, this is near the end of the story, and I thought, hang on, did I miss something? So I backed up and I read the last page, and I thought, I got to the part again, and I thought, wait, did I miss it again? So I backed up further, read it again, and I don't know if I'm just an idiot or if it wasn't spelled out enough for me. I don't know. I didn't think the lie was that big of a lie. It just seemed like, all right, I mean, so this was fine, but also I could be just an idiot. So I'm going to give this 2 stars. It was okay, but if anyone else has read this, let me know. I should just Google and see, like, the big reveal or whatever, but I kind of keep forgetting when I go online. I'm just like, oh, let's look at books, you know, shocker. Not look up anything, just look at the new ones that you can't afford. So yeah, Story of a Lie. I don't know. Next up is A Bride's Story, Volume 11 by Kaoru Mori. This was wonderful as usual. A little differently this time. We're just following mostly these 2 characters, Smith and Talia. Tala? Is it Tala or Talia? Tala. And she is in love. She realizes that she's in love with him. They met several times a while ago, and she realizes that she loves this strange, pale foreigner. And because she's older, she gets into an arranged marriage, and she meets her soon-to-be husband, and she starts to cry, and she tells him everything, like how she doesn't want to marry him if she can't find Smith first, because it's not fair to him or her to live this life. And her fiance, I mean, very kindly helps her try to track Smith down. So they eventually do track him down in Ankara, and Smith, I mean, if you haven't, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to tell you what happens. So Smith agrees to marry her. Nothing romantic necessarily, but he agrees to marry her because now she doesn't know what to do when the fiance is not sure what to do, and they can't afford to keep looking for him forever. And so the fiance just kind of drifts away. We don't really see him anymore after Talis finds Smith. And I think the plan now is for Smith to go home to England to see his family. His uncle / solicitor is there at Ankara. They had been looking for him for a while, and they found him again. And he has a new, smaller camera. So he takes her picture. They learn about how to develop pictures and things. And they travel from Ankara to, is it Anatolia? It's a city on the coast in Turkey. And I think that Talis is going to go home with Smith to England. And yeah, here, let me see here. I normally remember stuff like this, but because I don't know, oh, here it is. No, that's a different swing. I don't know. Hi, welcome to my totally confusing brain. So it looks like she is going to go home to England with Smith to see his family, and then he's going to come back because he wants to take more photographs with this new, better camera. So that's the bulk of the story, but, you know, beautifully illustrated, lovely as usual. Looking forward to volume 12. Next up is Burma Chronicles by Guy Delisle, translated from the French. I always forget that he is French, by Helga Dasher. So this was written, I think, in 2006, 2007. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know if he was then in Burma or Malaya then, or if it was earlier than that. This book was published in 2010 originally, And I think this edition is from 2014. Not that it matters, but so this is over 10 years ago that he was in Burma. But it reminded me a lot of his book about Pyongyang in North Korea. It's it seems to be a very secretive society. It's the government watches computers and websites. They go through magazines and newspapers and rip out whole pages or cut out articles or anything that they think reflects poorly on Burma or is not appropriate. So it's hard to get official news. And so in a lot of societies where it's like that, then gossip is the main way that you hear things. So Guy and his wife are living in Burma. His wife works for Doctors Without Borders, and it's the same kind of group of people, the NGO and Doctors Without Borders and a whole bunch of other, the World Health Organization, all these other people always kind of end up, these expats hang around together. So he makes friends at the Australian Embassy and in a baby mommy group, but he's the only dad there, of course, and with their housekeeper and political prisoners. He finds out a very famous political prisoner lives not too far from him, and it's just about daily life, and it's sad and it's funny and it's touching and fascinating and yeah, absurd a little bit sometimes too. I like his sense of humor. But he and his son Louis, you know, going all around the country and seeing people and getting to know different customs. It's lovely. I think this is the last of his 4 travel memoirs that are like this. I'm not entirely sure, but up to this point, at least this was the last one. So it was really nice. 4 stars. I really like it, and I enjoy his art style too. It's fairly straightforward. It's all just black and white and gray. But yeah, enjoyable. 4 stars. Then when I had started previously, I was 60 some pages in when I picked this up on Saturday, but I ended up finishing it. And that is the Bookshop book by our very own Jen Campbell. This is a wonderful collection of different bookstores around the world. And it's not only covering the bookstores themselves, sometimes a short paragraph, sometimes a sentence, sometimes a few pages talking about them, but also interviews with authors and their favorite bookshops, bookstore experiences they've had, with shop owners themselves, with I think some friends of hers who are bookish. And it covers, like I said, it's broken up into continents, and you follow along, you know, things are nominated, things are not nominated. I mean, essentially, for book nerds like us, it's just a big bucket list. Like, hello, yes, I'd like to go to each one of these bookstores, please and thank you. What was extra fun for me was seeing people that I know. My friend Ellie and her mom owned a bookshop in Derbyshire. They've now sold it. It was called Bookend. I think it was in Derby, actually. So Ellie is in here with her mom. It was like, I didn't expect her to be in here, but she is. So it was fun to see that interview with her. Ellie is a friend of mine from Library Thing, I should say. And then also to see Harry W. Schwartz Bookshop, which is my favorite, now closed bookstore in Milwaukee. It was a local chain. And the very last location was purchased by an employee, a Harry W. Schwartz employee, and it now is Boswell Books, which is still going strong in the same location in downtown Milwaukee off of Downer Avenue. And that is in here as well. So not only is Harry Schwartz featured, it was one of Tracy Chevalier's favorite bookstore experiences. So that was a delight to see, but also Boswell's is still listed in here too. So it was nice to have like a little home connection and then see someone I know that I didn't expect to see in England, you know. But yeah, really lovely. I mean, if this interests you, go pick it up because it's worth it. It's bookish, nerdy goodness. Second to last, now for books I finished, is Plotted, a Literary Atlas by, Andrew DeGraff. This follows the plot of 19 different classic books throughout time going, oh gosh, I don't know what the first one is. They had a hard time narrowing it down. Oh, Odysseus. So it's Homer. So I'll just use this as an example. So a little blurb about it. Then there is usually just this one page. It's pretty small print about the book itself or how they chose it or whatever. And then it's the map, which is a little hard to follow sometimes. They're not always the same art style, but this like dark line, you can follow around and see where he went and when. And they're all like this. So it's essentially, they're all a little bit different styles too, but It's essentially like Family Circus, if you liked that cartoon when you were a little kid, reading that and watching. It was a Jeffy that had the little lines all throughout. So it's sort of like that. And with books with more than one character, Huckleberry Finn gets 3 double spread pages. I'll show you one of those. Each character has a different color that you can follow. So, and it's hard to see on this one. It'd be better in the light like this, but you can see. Where's the little key? There's the key. So you can tell, you know, what person is going where, and then you can follow them and see where they're going. So yes, it's illustrated, but it was also really fun to just kind of trace around and see. And the books that I haven't read, I really do want to read now after reading this. I know he also did a movie atlas that was like this, so it plots out movie things. I think that was before this literary one, but really enjoyable, fun to look through, pleasing on the eyes. Yeah, just lovely. 4 stars. And the last one I finished, which was actually the first book that I read, because again, small print and I have older eyes now. That's Tamara, Drewe by Posy Simmonds. If you have, excuse me, there is a movie adaptation. If you've seen that, the movie follows this nearly shot for shot in a lot of places. The ending is slightly different in the movie, though, I will say that, compared to this. But otherwise, it's pretty much spot on. So we are in the country and at a writer's retreat. So there is a semi-famous writer, Nicholas, he's kind of a jerk, Hardiman, and his wife, Beth, run this writer's retreat that they have different like outbuildings and stuff that they can all the writers can stay at. And then they have dinner together every night, and Beth, you know, caters to them and changes the sheets and everything. And Nicholas has affairs and runs around on her. She knows about it, but always forgives him. Part of the book is told through one of the writers who stays there regularly. And so he helps you kind of get through and see what happens. So that's one location in the country. And then over a field or two, Tamara lives in an old farmhouse. And it's her and her rock star boyfriend come to live there. Well, he doesn't really live there so much, but it's her place. She's a writer. And it's about how, gosh, how do I describe this? Things from the past don't always stay in the past, and affairs and hurt feelings and, I mean, lies, what you say and don't say. And there's a whole bit running throughout about letting out at the writer's retreat, letting out their neighboring pasture area to some cows that are kind of a nuisance, and the lady who owns them is a nuisance, but she fawns over the jerky author from the writer's retreat who owns it. And it's small town life in country England, but I don't know. I'm not explaining this very well, but I really like Posy Simmonds' art style. So, you know, nicely colored, and there's lots of stuff like this. So it's, you get like the narration backstory in these typed passages, and then the conversations are written out. And I don't know why, I just love this. I'm not explaining this well at all, but I would say please read this first and don't watch the movie till afterwards. I don't know, I just love it. I love Posy Simmonds. I've read, I think, 2 other of her works. It's really hard to find her here in the States, and hard to find her here in the States for under $30 for a used copy. So it takes a while to hunt her down. And I've had this for quite a while, but really, really enjoyed this. And it just makes me want to troll the internet for more of her stuff that I don't already have. So 4 stars for this too. Absolutely. This was delightful. I loved it. I just loved it. So that's that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books I finished for the readathon, plus read a third of a 9th one and listened to 2 hours of a 10th. So that's not too bad. I'll take those numbers. I'm especially glad that I managed to read more than 10 hours. My goal was to read 6 books and to read for 10 hours. And I read 8 books, or finished 8 books, I should say, and read for 14. So that's pretty good. I will of course, planning on doing the next one in October. I don't know the dates yet. It's usually the 3rd or 4th Saturday of the month. And yeah, we'll just see what happens from here. Have you guys read any of these? Do you have recommendations to me based on any of these books? Please let me know. Let's have a little chat. I'll try and be better about getting back to people in a more timely fashion. I've just been spaced with reading and then sleeping weird hours trying to catch up. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope you are taking care of yourself and your neighbors and friends and family and reading something wonderful. I'll see you guys soon in the next one. Bye.